So your wife says you spent $1,500 on a 3D printer. What did you do for me? Well, you know, after you print a lot of the stuff on the things or the printables, you look for projects that you need to do, and I've done a few of those for myself, but I had a problem out in the garage, and I'll show you later, outside, rotted away on the bottom. So I did a 3D print of sort of the wood for the bottom, and this is the whole story about how I got this made. Now, to be honest with you, this cost me maybe 75 cents to make in plastic. If I had to buy the piece of wood, it probably would have cost me, you know, maybe $15 or $20 for the piece of wood that I need, and I would only have to cut it up just to get this little tiny section. So, did I save any money? Well, let's see, 75 cents versus $1,500. Don't tell the wife, don't tell your partner, just have fun with it. So, this is the story of how I made this. Well, much to my surprise, I was looking around the house seeing what I could fix, and I found out that my garage molding over here, where it touches the ground, is rotted away. So this is probably about 3 inches or so worth of molding that I have to replace. So I want to try to see if I can preserve the shape of it as much as I can, and the dimensions. So I have this shape duplicator that I bought maybe 50 years ago, and I'm going to use it here to see if I can replicate the shape. Now, we know that the piece of wood is at least this thick, and on this side there's no base, so I'm just going to push this up against until I get to there. Now when I pull it out, that's the shape of the product that I'm trying to duplicate. So we can take it inside and see what we can do with this. The next thing I'm going to do...
Okay, my kitchen hookah doesn't work.
Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just trace out this outline. So I know that it ends over here, so I can make those marks. And then I know it ends over here, and that's perpendicular. So I'll just trace out on paper here some really rough sketches and go to there. Okay, so once I have it pushed onto paper, I can now go ahead and see what I can do with it. I'm more interested in seeing this pattern here than I am worried too much about other dimensions. So I'm worried about this pattern here. It's coming down like that. And now, okay, so I opened up Autodesk Fusion 360, and I'm going to use that to draw my 3D representation of my garage side still, or whatever you call those things. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my orientation to top and maybe increase my resolution just a little bit here. Okay, that looks good to me. So I'm going to start off with a sketch, and I'm going to do a 2-point rectangle. So I'm going to do it on this plane, and I'm going to put it on the center point, and according to my measurements, the width should be around 52.9, and the height should be 27.75 millimeters. Okay, so it gives us that basis, and I'm going to increase the size here a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. The next thing is I'm going to do that little hump that's in the side profile. So I'm going to do the sketch again, 2-point rectangle at this point, and the width is going to be 27 millimeters. I'm going to tab over to here, and the height should be 5.75 millimeters. Okay, so did I do that right? Let's see, we got 27 and 5.7. Yep, that looks good, sort of good to me. All right, so now what we need to do is convert this into a 3-dimension. And we're going to do that by selecting the areas and then doing an extrude. So we're going to, let's see, make sure that we do a one-side extrude. We did the selection, and we're going to do a distance. So the distance is going to be, make sure I got both selected, it's going to be 3 inches. So 3 inches is roughly 76.2 millimeters, and that should get us our extrusion. So I'm going to go into the orbit mode here for a second, and sure enough, we have our extrusion. Now, this isn't good enough yet. We still got some, we want to put a sort of a round fillet on here so that it emulates more what I'm trying to design. So we can do that simply by doing, let's see, modify, where are we? Let's see, fillet, there it is, sorry. And if you look on the side over here, I'm going to do a rule fillet. And I'm going to, let's just do an all edges and see what that does. So, yep. So I'm going to select this edge here and this edge. And I'm going to select the fillet as being roughly 15. And that did not do what I wanted it to do. So let's go back here and let's see what we can do. No, that's not right. I think that's really what I wanted. So we got 2 selected. Let's reset these. I'm going to select this field and this field. There we go, that's better. Nope, I did it wrong again. Try this again. Select this. And the second one, select that. And now 15 millimeters. There we go. I like that. Let's try to do maybe a 17. See what that does for us. Yeah. I like that a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to accept that as a rolling ball fillet. Now if I take a look at that, and I do a 3-dimension roll, yep, that looks pretty decent to me, and that's really what I want. Now you could get fancier and actually do a double in here, which would more replicate the actual style that I'm trying to get. But okay, I'm done. So let's bring this back up. And the next thing I need to do is I'm going to do 3D print of this. So I do that. And I'm going to tell it this is the object I'm going to print. And I'm going to go to Bambu. So I take that and I click the OK button. That should now load up the Bambu Studio. That's what I got as my default 3D printer. Alright, so let's bring this guy up a little bit again. So in my system, I got it should be PETG. Where's PETG on here? This is definitely not what I want here. Interesting. This over here, I'm going to make PETG. So I'm going to do it right, change the filament to the brown filament, which is PETG in my system. And I'm going to do a little bit more of an infill because I'm going to go to the strength here, and instead of having 2 wall loops, I'm going to have 5 wall loops. Instead of having 3 top shells, I'm going to do 5. And the bottom shells, I'm going to do 5. So that's going to be a pretty strong shell. And then for the infill, I think instead of doing the 15% on the sparse infill density. I'm going to do 30%. That should give it a little bit more oomph to it. So after I've got this done, oh, look at that, it's upside down. I made that mistake before, so I'm going to orient it again. And that puts the largest flat surface down. And I have now got on here the orientation I need to do a 3D print. So I'm going to now do a preview of that. And lo and behold, it looks good to me. So, yep, everything here looks good. So I'm ready to do the 3D print, and all I would do is hit the print plate, and it would start printing. Now, actually, what I got loaded in number 4 slot of the AMS is PETG, not ABS. So this will print as PETG. All right, let's go ahead and do the print. So 1 hour and 28 minutes later, this little heavy block of PETG is finally done. This is the first PETG project that I've done on the Bambu Labs Carbon X1 printer, and it turned out pretty good. I had a little bit of a problem on the bottom over here. You can, I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm hoping you can. There's some pullouts over here. Everything else did fine. Even the shape is fairly decent. So I showed this to the wife just for the sake of it, and it was still quite warm because it's a high infill. I did this at 40% infill compared to the normal 15%. The walls are very thick. I did 5 walls instead of 2 or 3, so very thick walls, and I wanted strength. Not that there's anything there that's going to cause a problem, I just wanted the strength down there. So I showed this to the wife, and she immediately took it outside and says, wow, that actually kind of works. Well, so what I got to do now is just, I'm going to take the edge off using my deburr. I'm just going to do just a little bit of an edging here, and I'll take the
You want your cherries?
the sharp edge out of sandpaper and degloss it, because the next thing you got to do is prime it. So when you spray it with primer, you really don't want the gloss on there. You don't want this stuff to slip on the paint. So yeah, I could have used a little bit of sandpaper here on this edge, but anyways, there it is.